Jeff, you let me know the second before we started filming. By the way, there's a reason why you scream. But no, I seriously need from social media. They like, she's a banshee. Like, yeah, that's what she is. All I know is that I stripped my vocal cords from the first 2.5 seasons.
I was gonna say, I mean, that has to be like torture. You were screaming a lot, and you know, as people know, it's not just the one take. Like, okay, you're done now. It's like all day screaming.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did all my own screaming for the first 2.5 seasons, and now we have banked those screams, and it will still be me screaming, just like 3 years ago screaming. So
Now you just do the face though.
yeah, now I have mastered miming, scream miming, yeah. There you go. Minus drool though, thank God. But I don't have teeth, and I have had to wear teeth in other jobs, and not this one. And so yes, I'm very grateful for not screaming and no drooling.
Once Jeff confirmed Twitter's suspicion and told you were a banshee, what excited you about that? What that meant for her in the world of Teen Wolf?
Well, she knew she was on a werewolf show. I've said many times before. And then it became fun because, as you guys have sure have noticed throughout the seasons, like she's not so much the mean girl anymore. It's sort of breaking down that wall and actually having real friends in my acting life. And yeah, just getting to be sort of like part of the Scooby-Doo pack. Like I'm officially getting to be, you know, Daphne. And yeah. I just, Daphne has to share a What?
And who's Velma?
If you're Daphne.
Who's the redhead?
You're all Daphne.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeff, with the additions of Max and Charlie, you sort of also set up these two pairs, one with Danny and one with Lydia. Were you surprised at how strong the fan reaction was to these two new couples?
Yeah, I was very happy too. And we got to a certain point in the in the writers' room. We got to a certain point where we were like, we want to keep them around for another season. And one of the other writers said, well, they're sort of murderers. I'm like, we're going to have to do something about that. So there's a long road to redemption we're planning this season, which I think will be really cool to see. And it has to do with, so I'm giving away some 3B scoop. It has to do with them trying to find their way into Scott's pack. It has to do with whether or not these relationships can turn them into better people, and whether being away from Alien and the Alpha Pack changes them for the better, or if they can fall into old habits too easily. They keep asking me which one of us is going to die. I said, well, maybe you shouldn't have taken that HBO pilot.
You're doing something right, Jeff. Everybody leaves us.
They steal all our actors. The fucking CW and HBO. Walking Dead.
Speaking of Melissa, obviously, great arc on Walking Dead, heartbreaking. But it was also so
Heartbreaking. I watched that and I was like, that's it?
I thought it was sad. I think it was
her alive.
Yeah, that's sad. But let me ask you this, because coming into this year, she was in on the secret now. I mean, you know, she knew, thanks to, you know, seeing a giant lizard snake man, that things were weird in Beacon Hills.
Yes.
What excited you about having her know what her son was up to this year?
Well, what was exciting for me was that when I used to get the scripts in season 1 and season 2, I would never read what I shouldn't know. So now I get to read the whole script. Because now I know what's going on. So that was a lot of fun.
You should probably go back and read the script.
I probably should. I should probably watch the show. So that was a lot of fun, and now now it's like, you know, Scott and I are a bit of a team.
Yeah.
You know, we're kind of in a different gear this year, and so that's a lot of fun to play with him.
That's a great question for Linden too. Who's also in,
I mean, Linden, were you jealous when she found out and you didn't?
No. There was something great about not knowing in a weird way, you know, because it keeps you outside that bubble, and then once you get inside, you know, on the inner circle, and you sort of know what's really happening in Beacon Hills, and it raises, I mean, I think that's what's interesting to me about 3B, is it's all about consequences, and everything that happens has consequences. There are consequences to every action, and it's like this ripple effect. And I think that sort of resonates with me in my life, that, you know, good deed, bad deed, it goes out. It has a ripple effect in the world, and I think that's a really very cool part of this next season coming up.
Yay.
I have to take a moment and just talk about the mid-season.
I drool too.
The whole cast is nice. Talk about the mid-season finale, Lunar Eclipse, was such a strong
I take
episode.
my pants off. Shirt is for pussies. I take my pants off.
Stop ruining the season premiere.
They're filming this.
Oh my god.
Lyndon, they're filming this for the DVD.
I want this job.
So yeah, the mid-season finale. It was an amazing episode, and I love how it really sort of brought every storyline and every character to a head, sort of in this one common interest. Jeff, talk about sort of the culmination of the first half of the season with that episode, and what excited you about the mid-season finale.
Well, I actually, we had a lot of fun bringing it back to the pilot, and seeing the connection with three of our leads, because to me it's actually become very much an ensemble show now, and I love finding episodes that can draw one or another character into the lead focus. But it was interesting being able to bring it back to the pilot and show their connection, and I just love the idea of these. I love the idea of three teenagers sacrificing their lives for their parents, and saving their parents. I love the fact that we're able to do those kind of relationships on the show. And Melissa keeps asking me if we're going to kill her. I'm like, I would never kill Melissa. She's
We were in that basement in the cellar.
The root cellar.
All the time, in the root cellar. And Melissa was like, she was
Lyndon, I gotta talk.
convinced she was going to die.
I'm gonna die. Just sorry, I'm
I'm going to
gonna
die. She's like, no, I
No, they
can't.
brought back the ex.
She goes,
so
"It-
you can only have one parent on the show. This bitch.
She goes, think about it. His dad's here now. They don't need me anymore. I said, has Jeff told you you're going to die?
I'm not talking about this with anyone but you. That's exactly what I said.
Here we are.
Aww.
Okay.
What was it like? I mean, how long were you guys, quote unquote, tied up in the basement to a tree while filming the last half of the season?
We're still there.
I think it was like
It was four really long.
14 days, 15
No.
16 days, something
No,
like that.
it was literally 4 days,
Right.
many hours every day. And then the first day that we were there, they didn't have breakaway ropes. So we were actually tied up with real ropes
which
for
is-
hours and hours at a time. And they used real dirt, and we were in that dirt.
I now use it as a threat against the other actors.
It was intense, but it's not always like that. So, we were happy to do it. We were really happy to do
On
it.
the Vampire Diaries, my wife Susan worked on that, and she said that they had what they call the Wall of Death. And when, they had the pictures of all the characters who had died on the series. And when an actor would get out of line, apparently the producers would call someone in, and they'd go, look, your picture, it's gonna happen. You need to straighten up and fly right. And the actor would be like, okay. And so now Jeff has the root cellar, and he calls actors into the office, and he goes, look, I've written you 3 episodes in the root cellar.
We actually call it comaing a character. Like, what's sometimes very difficult is, in the business of casting, we don't have as deep pockets as a broadcast network, so one of the things we do is allow people out for pilot auditions. and one of our actors got a frickin' pilot on a frickin' network. And I'm like, oh God, we gotta comb her. 3 episodes, she's knocked out, and that was our beautiful Adelaide King. So, but she does really good performances unconscious.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal. Best work to date. I kid, she's really good.
Speaking of the Hale family, Hale, you had some amazing stuff with Derek in the first half of season 3. And then you broke his heart. What is the matter? No. But I mean, you know, what was amazing was seeing how they really did care for each other, and then turning that into that fight in the finale. Talk a little bit about the choreography and shooting and just the mechanics that went into that amazing end.
None. They were just like, go, do what you want. No, it was really fun. I mean, I really, really loved working with Tyler. He was just such a sweet, kind person. I'm sure he still is. But so we had already been on that journey together. We had taken, you know, the sort of like new love to, you know, it going a step further, to betrayal, to the whole thing. And it's interesting because I really love the show. And so I thought it was so cool to be a part of it. And so I felt like I was doing something bigger and carrying something bigger than just my role, if that makes sense. So I was really heartbroken during the fight, and the choreography was really cool. I really like to do my own stunts, and I loved just like slamming Hecklin. He's so muscular and like a beefcake, and then there's me like, yeah, let's do this. So you know, like slamming him was really the choreography was really like a shit ton of fun, and yeah, it wasn't as complicated as I thought it was going to be, but it looks great. It cuts together really well, I think. So yeah, it was good.
Holland, what about you? What do you remember most about shooting the mid-season finale?
In the physical department or the
In
non-physical
what
department?
department you would like?
What do I remember? I mostly acted with Dylan and Max for the most part from what I remember. If I think back to my first reaction of season 3A, and starting off on the physical note, I guess. It's funny when you have different love interests. That's the first thing I really realized as an actor. And so going from Colton to Max, should we do like a pro and con list, or like what do you want to do? Yes.
We're still talking about the characters in the show, right?
Yes, just the characters on the show.
Because I hear you and Max spend a lot of time together lately.
Oh yes, yes. Colton and I are still very close. Do not make him jealous. I will get a call from Colton in
Look at your
a couple
yes.
hours. But yeah, I would say that's the weird thing as an actor, is I had never had multiple love interests before. And so that was really funny, like going, oh, I wonder, I hope we vibe okay. It's really funny as an actor thinking about those things. And I think it was really awkward with Max, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the left, I'm gonna go to the right. Okay, it was like a football, like, you know.
That's not how I remember
You
it.
had to tell
It's so nice. And he was like, I remember, you remember this, he was like, shh, it's okay. It's okay. And I'm like, okay, but we're good, right? We're good. Everything's good. We're good. And like, I was really awkward.
She was nervous.
I was really nervous, and because Colton and I were just so like whatever about it, we're
Charlie,
just.
is this getting uncomfortable for you?
Charlie, Felix, no, Max's whereabouts are. So anyway, that would, I'd say, the physical part. As an actor, that was funny for me, having to like transition love interests, and then there's the whole styles aspect, which was thrown on me towards the beginning of season about how close Styles and I were going to be, and then towards the end of the season, Jeff's like, oh, P.S., you really like Aiden. I'm like, oh, thanks for the heads up.
I thought that was obvious, but
And he thought it was obvious, and I thought I was more, so, you know, the triangle and
When did I say that?
in the 11th episode, on the 10th episode, on
I
that,
think I said to be conflicted.
to be conflicted. But that's when I knew there was like something serious with
She
Aiden.
rewrites a lot of our conversations.
So anyway, I would
I've
say
never heard of a woman doing that before.
ever. But yeah, that's what I would say the
Careful,
main-
Lydia, you're sitting between two of them.
So yeah, I would say it's been fun as an actor because in real life I juggle so many guys that would be negatory. So yeah, that was fun because I don't get to do that in real life. So yeah.
And Max, how was kissing?
One word answer. Deal breaker or not deal breaker?
Yeah.
Well, there was a time when you were going to be kissing Keanu, so is this...
Yes, there was a time.
There was a story. They said pick which one you like better. And they did. Can I say that?
Who says that?
When I went in the screen test, they said which one did you have more chemistry with? And I said, I don't know.
We did say that.
Yeah.
We did want to know which you felt more chemistry.
Yeah.
What?
But in real life.
See how that sounds?
It's like a therapy session.
I thought this was my question. Come on.
Yeah, what do you think about kissing Holland now?
Yeah, just changed my answer. Well, let's see. I think we kissed a couple of times. Beginning that time, I was, in love with Lydia a little bit. I just knew. And, yeah, I just kind of was like, let's do this. That's all I said. And it was on.
One word.
One word?
One word.
Yeah, there are no skills. There are no skills. Honestly, only fond memories. That's it.
Charlie, were you surprised at the strong fan reaction to #Ethan?
Is it Ethan or Declan?
Is it Ethan?
No, I'm just proud of the strong fan reaction to Ethan. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool that the canon LGBT team is competing now with Steric. I just think it goes to show you that this fan base is like pretty open-minded and excited about everybody's happiness and bedtimes when they get excited about it. So it's cool.
I love it. Well, in that episode, obviously Sheriff Stilinski also was clued in. We now have a lot of parents who know things. Linden, what can you tease about your character's role in 3B?
First of all, I don't think that really you need to make these kind of choices. I think that, you can kind of bounce from one person to another, and it's all very cool. And I think if you have enough to drink, it'll be fine. What can I tell you about 3B is, it seemed like a good idea at the time. That's all you have to say in a way. My role will be, I totally lost my train of thought, just being dumb. I can't tease that much because the journey I'm on in 3B is pretty sad. It's pretty disturbing. A lot of.
Jeff?
Yeah, boy, wow, I just wandered.
That was
Oh,
great.
yeah. That's a sound bite and a half, huh?
I can tell you where he starts out, which is Sheriff Stilinski has a new perspective on his older cases, and he's starting to go through his list of all of those unsolved crimes and unsolved cases, and wondering if there are supernatural elements to them, and wondering if they have anything, they have the unsolvable part that could be solved.
Yeah, I mean, you're presented with this information, this entirely new body realm, and there is a scene with Styles where he's like, I'm going through all the old cases, and you really have to approach it with, if I knew then what I know now, how do I look at this? And he's like, is that really something you want to do? And I said, do I have a choice? I mean, you have to. You have a moral obligation. You have an obligation as a human. You have an obligation as an officer of the law, and you need to go back and do this. And and it's really complex and it's really complicated and it's not always pretty and you start turning over stones and like I say, there's a ripple effect to everything.
Consequences.
I'll tease something big from 3D. You will learn a lot more about the Stilinski's family and what caused his wife, Claudia, to die. And it involves a psychological component to it that made the Stilinskis start to fear maybe affecting Styles as well. Sorry.
Welcome to our world.
Start looking up illnesses.
No, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's the season premiere is like traumatic. I mean, you feel so much sadness for Styles and for all these people, what they're going through. I mean, I was going to go down the line and ask each of you to tease 3B, but does everyone just want to defer to Jeff in this instance?
Let's hear from Charlie. Charlie, what can we tease about you and your relationship, your fears, your...
I mean, well, I'm afraid I'm gonna die. But I feel like you already mentioned, I think our journey this season, we start out realizing like, oh crap, we don't have a pack. So on the one hand, what can I tease? I can tease that our eyes are a different color at the start
I'll
of the
just
season.
kick you when you say something. That's good.
Is that my turn?
Sure.
Okay. For me, this season, it's going to be a lot about redeeming myself, I suppose. I don't think I'm a bad guy, but apparently everyone else does. So, that's kind of my journey this year. And it gets a lot darker because as we get into this new pack, so to speak, I don't know, I feel like everything's kind of falling apart. So go ahead, you're going to sob and cry and have tears and all that stuff. And I don't know what to tell you. Sorry. It's a great season. I'm really excited. I think Jeff took a lot of risks this season that are going to pay off wonderfully. And get ready for some crazy, I'm not going to swear. I'm going to be the only person who doesn't swear today. Get ready for some crazy stuff. It's going to be nuts.
Melissa, you're running the McCall House for Wayward Orphaned Werewolves.
Pretty much, yeah. It's all good. I think that I think this season gets elevated to a whole nother place, and I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about everybody's storyline, not just mine, as a fan of the show and also as someone that's on the show. So get ready.
Now, you're a fan now that you're reading the whole script.
Yes. Now that I know what's going on. Thank you.
She's like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
Who knew?
Holland, what about you?
Oh, yeah, I think,
You can tease about what we learned in 315. You want me to do it?
yes!
I'll start it
I'm always
off.
scared that I'm going to give away too much. I am the girl who gives away too much. I know too much, I give away too much.
What we find out about Lydia, and it's great to play this now because we learn that Lydia is, I mean, she's in many ways still a teenage girl, but she has an extraordinary ability, which she's learning, and there's an aspect to it, Banshee's scream, but we start to learn that it's not the scream that gives her the power. So we learn what it is in 315.
Now I remember.
All right, and before we turn this over to fan questions, Jeff, I will come to you and say, what else would you like to add for the room about 3B?
I've said too much already. Just that I'd actually also like to express my enthusiasm for a new cast member, Arden Cho, who is, I think you've just seen her, one of the first few pictures of her as Kira Yukamura. I think she's going to be an amazing addition to the show. She's got this undeniable energy. She's phenomenal. She's a really good actor, and she's good with a sword. So,
All right. Well, guys, we are now going to take a couple questions from the room. So if you just raise your hand to this lovely gentleman with the microphone, and that lovely lady will come to you. You can ask your question.
My God, you guys are, I can't, I don't even want to look at you guys. I want to like have blinders right now because, thank you. That's good. Okay, so, actually this question is for Haley. I wanted to ask, concerning Jennifer, when she resurrected herself through the Nematon, do you think the fact that she had such feelings for Derek was because of the fact that his first love was killed there, that she absorbed that feeling from that?
That is a great question.
That's a really good question. And you know, it actually is something that I thought about when I read the mistletoe speech that Jeff wrote, and when I read a little bit before where she's talking to him and says, you know, you gave me power. That was like, I was done. I was literally sitting in my chair waiting to go on, just like crying and like, okay, sorry. It's just so powerful and sweet. But you know, I have thought about that, and I think there is that element to it. You can get into like energy, and you know, it's all there. So yeah, I think there is kind of that part of it, and I think given that she was a druid and someone connected to nature and everything, she would recognize that. I know it wasn't explicit, but yeah, I think there could totally be a little bit of that element there, and that love for him from that.
Thank you for your excellent bar-raising question.
Great question.
Great question. Don't be afraid, ask us more.
That was deep. I like
That
it.
was
deep.
Yeah, in the back.
Hi.
Say something about
I'm just wondering, with the revelation of, I guess, Styles' father and Scott's mother finding out about the whole supernatural thing, is there the potential of a relationship between the two?
Yeah.
But, yeah, go ahead, please. No, really. One thing that someone pointed out on the social media, and I thought that was a really wonderful point to make, was that if you really are paying attention, Sheriff still wears his ring. That means something, and I think that means something to me as a character too. It's like that is the biggest flag ever. So, you know what I mean? I mean, it just.
The interesting scene will be when he takes it off. I guess.
I think the interesting scene will be where he takes it off.
All over again.
And I gotta tell you, I think that it's like Stilinski's probably like me, and he probably forgot that he's got it on. He's like,
I object.
oh, never. Absolutely.
All right. Next
Thank
one.
you.
Next question.
Hi guys, trying so hard not to shake right now. Anyway, this is for Jeff. I think you guys were in New York for the Comic-Con, and there was a tweet that said Styles was a certain status. So I went to my friend and we were trying to figure out if this was like human status or single status. Can you go into depth a little bit about that, or?
Holland can answer this question.
It could be his mental status.
It very well could be. You'll have to wait and see.
Good question, though. Good question.
Yes. Oh, in the
Hi, my name is Danny. Lydia, well, last season we learned that her ex-boyfriend was adopted. And now Lydia finds out that she's entirely now supernatural. Is she going to be wondering about her origins, about where her family's from?
That's something I've been wondering since season 1, and that Jeff has mentioned little tidbits here and there, so I think that's to come.
Well, we brought her mother back into the show, who is actually Linden Ashby's wife, Susan Walters.
I love Susan.
We love Susan. So you'll be seeing more of Susan in season 4.
Yay!
next. Anybody has a question?
Come on, man.
All right, you're on the left.
When do the next auditions start?
You have an agent?
That means you have to take your shirt off.
They're ongoing.
Over here.
Hi, I was just wondering, like, Gerard and Decalion kind of get these free passes and chance at reduction, and I wonder if any of the lady villains will.
Gerard's bleeding out of his face constantly. Does that seem like a free pass, I guess? Oh, but, well, the reason he's alive actually is because we wanted to bring him back in season 2 to have a face-off with, actually there are 2 reasons he's alive. We wanted him to have a face-off with Allison, and we had this big debate in the writers' room. We debate actually killing people in the writers' room quite a bit. I'll tell you, I was against...
I'm telling you what, okay, it happens.
Thanks, guys. Just saying.
There have been a few like really strong arguments this season about certain characters to kill, and I've said to the, I said to the writers, we can't kill that character. I just there's some very strong feelings about it, but one of our actual regrets, I will say, is if we did it over, would we still kill Jennifer?
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that.
But, I mean, because we had the idea for the very last scene way before we started writing the show. And a lot of the times you start writing the show, it takes you in a different direction. I mean, like Vince Gilligan of Breaking Bad says, they have no clue where they're going. Even when they're writing episode 8 of 12 or 8 of 13, they still don't know what the ending is like. So it's not an arbitrary decision. We don't sit there and say who deserves to die or who deserves to live. It's more of, it comes out of how we want to wrap the season up and how we want to end it, and also how we want to make it different from the previous season. Because one of the big reasons we didn't kill Gerard at the end of the season 2 is because we killed Peter, and we didn't want to make it feel like it was the same beat, you know. And one of the reasons I can't spoil anything this season, but you'll see. It's also I guess it's a matter of perspective too. Does that answer your question? You don't seem satisfied. What would you like to hear?
Well, Jeff, let me just follow on that really quick, because there are some supernatural shows like the Vampire Diaries where people die and then they come back and become like series regulars. I mean, it's sort of like perfunctory in the sci-fi genre. Do you have a mentality of if you kill a character, they have to stay dead, or are you open to if you have something that needs them to come back?
We sit in a room and we say, what would be a fun story to tell? And it's like, well, what if we brought this person back? And say, and a lot of times you say, no, we can't do that. We keep bringing people back. You know, we can't bring everyone back from the dead. All right, fine. Worst thing for some of our characters to face. What are great conflicts, or what's great drama to face? So one of the reasons we wanted to keep Gerard around was because we wanted to see more of Gerard and Allison. I wanted to see a scene where Allison has to face him again. It was sort of we talked about it being like a Clarice Starling, Hannibal Lecter relationship almost. So, but the other thing is sometimes you become very close to actors too. And I love Michael Hogan. By the end of the season, he was like, "You're not gonna kill me, are you?" And I said, "We might." But then it's like with Haley, we miss her desperately. So we sometimes sit there and say, "How can we bring her back?" We really, because you really start to like actors and like to have them on the set, and it's killing someone on a show is terminating them. I don't know how they do it so quickly and easily on The Walking Dead.
Oh, it's easy. I'll tell you how easy it is. You're dead.
But and sometimes it changes the plot drastically. Like we spent about a month creating. This is like a storyline maybe for comic books or something, or for an offshoot. But we spent a lot of time crafting a relationship between Boyd and Erica, Gage's character, and we got the news. Like I remember calling up casting. I'm like, "Why isn't Gage closed?" And they said to me, "She wants to go off and do another show." And I was like, "What?" We have all these plans. I said, "Well, who the hell else is in that prison with her? is in the bank." And then we came up with Cora. I mean, that's a lot of what happens in TV. Is sometimes your plans shift drastically. We would like it. It's not like writing a novel where you have the whole world at your fingertips and you can decide what happens. There are very real things in the industry that happen. Like Gage felt that it was the right time to go off and try being a star in a pilot, and she got a pilot, which I think was probably really good for her career as an actor. And you have to wish people well in these kinds of things. We were at a certain point where we were going to lose Seth Gilliam to a TV show, and I was very unhappy about that because I really like the character of Deaton, and I have more plans for the character of Deaton. But these things happen, and sometimes you get lucky with them. You get to bring in new characters like these two boys, which I think have added a lot to the show as well.
Absolutely. I think we have a question over here. Yep.
Can I add something?
Please.
Because I feel a little odd with her sitting next to me, but I remember I've done a couple of these panels and constantly have gone, Haley was so amazing, she's a great person, she's a great actress, and going to Jeff, can't we bring her back? Isn't there some way to bring her back? And he's like, she's dead, I don't know, you know? And, but yeah, once you start like bringing everybody back, then death stops having consequence. It stops having that consequence word again. And but yeah, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, is she really dead? Is she really dead?
Guys?
So I don't know, is she really dead?
We'll come up with something, I swear.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there was a lot of that talk, actually. Go ahead.
Well, it was really nice to be here, and I actually am an old classmate of Gage's, so it was really cool. Yeah. And my question really is for Jeff. Can you tell us about sort of the different mythologies that you're going to be bringing in for 3D? Because I know you wanted to do like the kitsune from Japanese culture, and I know you talked about that at like WonderCon. And are you going to continue with the Druidism as well, especially with Banshee being part of that mythology and the Druids maybe coming?
Yeah, we really like the idea of the Druids as emissaries of these packs, of sort of representatives, the human representative of them. And there's, I was talking to Seth the other day that there's interesting stories to be still told with that, I think, because nobody really knew anything about the Druids because they never wrote anything down. It was all oral history. So we definitely want to do more with that, but we also want to bring the hunters back into the story. And season 3B, which you'll see, has a lot with the kitsune, which I love. It actually came out of we had talked about doing different mythologies before, but kitsune specifically came from a good friend of mine who I went to college with together. We used to do short films, and he's actually in the show now, playing two different roles. He plays a Yakuza Kumicho, which is a head of the Yakuza family, and he's great.